This list, we're revealing 10 cars that are all hype, no substance, and wait till you see the coupe SUV in the top 5. It's a fashion statement with serious compromises. Let's dive in. The Nissan Juke is one of the most polarizing cars of the last decade, and somehow that's exactly why people loved it. Launched as a funky urban crossover, it stood out with its alien-eyed headlights, compact proportions, and bold personality. But beneath that eye-catching exterior lies a different story. Let's start with practicality. The Juke offers tight rear seats and a tiny cargo area, making it far less usable than similarly priced compact crossovers. Visibility is poor thanks to the thick rear pillars, and the cabin feels cramped for taller drivers. Sure, it was marketed toward younger buyers in the city, but that doesn't excuse a driving experience that feels underwhelming and, frankly, outdated even in its later model years. Then there's the powertrain. Most models came with a 1.6-liter engine that was anything but exciting, and the CVT transmission? Sluggish and noisy. Long-term reliability hasn't been stellar either, with several owners reporting CVT issues around the 70,000-mile mark. Yet the Juke became a cult favorite, not because of what it does well, but because it looks different. Unfortunately, that quirky design masks real flaws in comfort, performance, and dependability. At first glance, the Mercedes-Benz CLA class looks like a dream ticket into luxury. A sleek, four-door coupe wearing that prestigious three-pointed star. But step inside and drive it for a week, and that dream starts to crack. Literally. Mercedes marketed the CLA as an affordable luxury option, but in reality, it cuts corners where it hurts. Interior materials in early models feel more econobox than executive, with creaky plastics and dated infotainment systems. Rear seat space? Virtually non-existent for adults. And that sloping roofline? Looks great in photos, terrible for headroom. Under the hood, it gets even more disappointing. The base CLA 250 packs a turbocharged 4-cylinder, but it's loud under pressure and struggles with turbo lag. The ride is stiff, the handling uninspiring, and if you're expecting that signature Mercedes comfort, forget it. Despite all this, the CLA sold incredibly well, especially among first-time luxury buyers. Why? Because it's a Benz. Unfortunately, what you're really paying for here is the badge, not the experience, and that's why it lands on this list. Luxury in name, but not in feel. The Camaro is a muscle car icon, loud, fast, and dripping in attitude. But let's get real. As a daily driver or even a practical weekend car, it misses the mark in some major ways. Start with visibility. The Camaro's chopped roofline and high beltline make it feel like you're driving inside a mailbox. Rear visibility? Forget it. Backing up is a full-on gamble without a camera. The interior feels tight and dark, and despite recent tech upgrades, the cabin still prioritizes form over function. Yes, the performance is there. The V6 and V8 engines sound incredible and deliver serious power. But the base 4-cylinder? It feels disconnected and unworthy of the Camaro name. And with the firm suspension and low stance, rough roads become a chore rather than a thrill. The Camaro's popularity stems from heritage and looks, and to be fair, it nails those. But in terms of usability, comfort, and refinement, it's far from ideal. It's a car that sells on nostalgia, not livability. Cool in the driveway, frustrating on the road. You'd think a Toyota crossover would be a no-brainer, bulletproof, practical, and efficient. But the CHR is the rare Toyota that feels more like a styling exercise than a well-rounded product. From the outside, the CHR turns heads with its edgy, coupe-like profile and sharp creases. But once you get inside, that design comes at a cost. The rear visibility is awful thanks to those chunky C-pillars. The back seats feel like a cave, dark, tight, and better suited for luggage than passengers. Performance? Underwhelming. A modest 2.0-liter engine paired with a CVT delivers sluggish acceleration, and despite its sporty appearance, the driving experience is anything but engaging. There's no all-wheel drive option either, which is a head-scratcher for a crossover in this segment. Still, the CHR became a hit, especially among younger buyers who wanted something different. But let's be honest, it's popular for the way it looks, not how it drives or performs. And in a segment full of more practical and better rounded options, the CHR just doesn't deliver where it counts. If the BMW X5 is a refined luxury SUV, the X6 is its flamboyant twin that chose looks over logic. Marketed as a sports activity coupe, the X6 is flashy, aggressive, and commands attention. But that's where the praise ends for most practical buyers. Let's talk about that sloping roofline. Sure, it gives the X6 its distinctive silhouette, but it also destroys rear headroom and cargo space. Visibility suffers, and if you've ever tried loading a big box in the back, you'll feel the form over function pain instantly. Driving dynamics? It's still a BMW, firm, responsive, and confident in corners, but it comes at the cost of ride comfort, especially with the larger wheels and stiff suspension. And unless you're shelling out for the high-performance M models, the standard trims feel like a style tax rather than a performance reward. Despite all this, the X6 sells well. Why? Because it looks expensive. It screams status, and that's exactly why some buyers choose it. Not because it's better, but because it's bolder. And in a world where practicality should matter, the X6 shows how trend can outshine substance. Hot hatch energy in a subcompact SUV body. That's the Kona N pitch. And it's tempting. A turbocharged 2.0-liter engine, sharp handling, and aggressive styling make it one of Hyundai's most exciting recent offerings. But when you look past the performance stats, the Kona N starts to feel like a niche toy masquerading as a practical crossover. Let's start with ride quality. The suspension is harsh. Daily driving feels like punishment on less than perfect roads, and the firm bucket seats don't help. For something marketed as an SUV, it lacks ground clearance and comfort, making it neither a true crossover nor a comfy commuter. The exhaust is fun at first, crackles and pops galore. But over time, it borders on obnoxious. And if you're planning to track it, be prepared for heat soak and limited cooling capacity on repeated hard runs. Still, the Kona N gained attention fast. Its performance per dollar is impressive. But here's the kicker. Most people aren't buying it to race. They're buying it for the hype. And as a result, it ends up in the hands of owners expecting versatility, but getting a rough-edged, single-purpose machine. The Evoke looks like pure style distilled into an SUV. Sleek lines, upscale badging, and a design that feels like runway fashion on four wheels. And that's exactly the problem. It's all fashion, not enough function. Step inside and you're greeted by a modern, high-gloss cabin with minimalist vibes. But look closer. Touchscreen controls replace basic physical buttons, the infotainment system lags, and interior space is surprisingly cramped. Rear legroom and cargo capacity? Both feel compromised for the sake of the design. And we haven't even gotten to reliability. Like many Land Rovers, the Evoke is notorious for frequent and expensive issues, from transmission faults to electrical gremlins. Ownership costs skyrocket fast, even on certified pre-owned models. Yet it remains popular, especially among urban buyers who want the luxury SUV look without jumping to full-size models. But behind that elegant facade lies one of the most problematic small SUVs in its class. It's the classic case of people buying the badge and the shape, not the reality. There's no denying the Dodge Charger looks like a beast. It's wide, aggressive, and comes with a soundtrack that turns heads a block away. But beyond the roar of its V8s and muscle car swagger lies a car that hasn't really evolved where it matters. For starters, the Charger rides on an aging platform that traces back to the mid-2000s. While power delivery is still impressive, especially in Scat Pack or Hellcat trims, the handling is more boat than bullet. The steering lacks precision, and the suspension doesn't hide the car's hefty weight, especially on tight corners or rough roads. Inside, the story's no better. The cabin feels dated, with low-rent plastics in the lower trims and a user interface that's seen better days. And while it does offer lots of interior space, it falls short on refinement. The rear-wheel drive layout also means winter driving can be tricky unless you opt for the AWD version, which only comes with the V6. Despite all this, the Charger is wildly popular. Why? Because it sells an attitude. But the reality? It's a throwback wrapped in hype, lacking the polish of more modern alternatives in the segment. The Tesla Model 3 changed the EV game, no doubt. It brought fast acceleration, sleek tech, and software updates that felt like magic. But underneath the innovation lies a car that many love until they live with it. Let's talk build quality, panel gaps, inconsistent paint, loose trim. These aren't just early production issues. They've persisted year after year. Even owners who've paid a premium report basic fit and finish problems you'd never accept on a $40,000 plus car. And then there's the interior. Minimal, yes, but also a bit too minimal. Everything depends on the touchscreen, which becomes annoying when you're just trying to adjust air vents or open the glove box. Then there's reliability. Consumer Reports has pulled its recommendation multiple times due to issues with electronics, battery range variances, and hardware glitches. And while Tesla's powertrain is solid, the ownership experience can feel more like beta testing than premium EV driving. Yet the Model 3 sells like crazy. Why? Because of tech hype, brand loyalty, and Elon-fueled mystique. But make no mistake, for all its innovation, the Model 3 is not without serious flaws. The Jeep Wrangler is one of the most recognizable vehicles on the planet, a rolling symbol of freedom, off-road prowess, and rugged cool. But here's the thing. Most Wrangler buyers aren't rock-crawling in Moab. They're commuting, grocery shopping, and hitting Starbucks in a vehicle designed for trails, not traffic. And that's where the problems begin. The Wrangler is loud on the highway, bouncy around town, and feels dated inside despite recent tech upgrades. Fuel economy is poor, even with the newer 2.0-liter turbo or mild hybrid systems. And let's not forget safety. It performs poorly in crash tests, especially the two-door versions. Then there's reliability. Solid axles and removable parts might scream adventure, but they also introduce rattles, leaks, and alignment headaches. Consumer Reports routinely gives it low marks for owner satisfaction and predicted reliability. Still, the Wrangler remains a bestseller. Why? Because it sells a lifestyle, not just a vehicle. And that lifestyle overshadows the compromises. It's cool, yes, but as a daily driver, it's arguably one of the most overrated cars on the road. Think one of these cars is still worth it? Or maybe you regret buying one? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this video helpful, give it a like, share it with someone who's car shopping, and don't forget to subscribe for more brutally honest car breakdowns every week. Thanks for watching.